Strap on your seatbelt and prepare for takeoff. You're about to go on a journey. It's First Contact Radio with Joshua Poet.
Thank you very much, Dirk. This is Josh Poet. Welcome to First Contact Radio, everybody. Hope you're having a good day. Lots of news to get into. Let's do it. First story up is a little bit of a follow up on Ghislaine Maxwell. Remember that picture that she took out there at In-N-Out Burger? Well, apparently the picture was a staged picture. There's an article here, Business Insider. Links are all available at firstcontactradio.com. And let me just read you some of the high points here. It says the widely circulated photos of Ghislaine Maxwell, the alleged Madam Jeffrey Epstein, may have been staged by her lawyer, according to a DailyMail.com investigation. The publication reported that the photos and metadata is linked to a media company owned by Leah Safian, the lawyer. The dog next to Maxwell's feet in the photos also appears to be Safian's dog Dexter, who features on Safian's Instagram page, and Maxwell's whereabouts remain unknown. She faces increased pressure and scrutiny after Epstein's death earlier this month. So we'll see how this thing unfolds. She's going to be in a whole lot of trouble and is probably, who knows what the heck's going on, but she's being implicated in many things. It's surprising that she hasn't been charged with anything officially yet that I'm aware of. But I think that time is coming because there's enough people coming forward with information that she is deeply connected to this whole thing. Moving right along, the other day did a story about Robert Epstein, Dr. Robert Epstein, who talked about how there is anywhere from 2.6 to 4 million votes shifted by Google and Facebook and the media companies over to the Democrats, and that if this isn't fixed before the election time, it's going to get much worse. So I have this copy of this article here, but the point of the matter is that he put out a tweet today saying that Hillary Clinton, who I strongly supported for many years, told blatant lies about me today. As a result, I've been subjected to widespread condemnation by mainstream media. I'm going to fight this. Stay tuned tomorrow for my first ever Twitter storm. Okay, so Hillary Clinton decided that she was going to go on the attack. Hopefully, Dr. Epstein here will remain safe and not become another victim on the Arkansas list. But you never can put anything past Hillary Clinton. She's an evil woman who does a lot of evil things. And if you're a person, a human being on this earth, and you don't know that, then you obviously don't know the difference between good and evil. Okay? So, one of the things that Hillary is involved with, in addition to all of the emails, is the murder of Seth Rich. Seth Rich murder update. FBI claims they didn't investigate, but NSA claims they can't disclose files due to a matter of national security. First, we reported late July that Texas businessman Ed Butowski filed a lawsuit where he outed reporter Ellen Ratner as a source for information on Seth Rich. The DNC operative was murdered in the summer of 2016 in Washington, D.C. His murder was never solved. According to the lawsuit, Seth Rich provided WikiLeaks the DNC emails before the 2016 election and not Russia. This totally destroys the FBI and Mueller's claim that Russians hacked the DNC to obtain these emails. Butowski claims in his lawsuit that Ms. Ratner said Mr. Assange told her that Seth Rich and his brother Aaron were responsible for releasing the DNC emails to WikiLeaks. Ms. Ratner said Mr. Assange wanted the information relayed to Seth's parents, as it might explain the motive for Seth's murder. November 9th, Ellen Ratner publicly admitted that she met Julian Assange for 3 hours the Saturday before the 2016 election. According to Ratner, Julian Assange told her the leaks were not from Russia. They were from an internal source from the Hillary Clinton campaign. It was also later reported that Butowski and his attorney Ty Clevenger requested and obtained documents from the FBI related to their case, which we were able to analyze. According to the duo, they obtained the transcript from former FBI Chief of Staff James Rybicki, where he states that Obama White House was the entity that was pushing the Russia conspiracy as early as October 2016. Newly released documents from the FBI suggest that Obama White House pushed intelligence agencies to publicly blame the Russians for the email leak from the Democratic National Committee. This afternoon, I received an updated and heavily redacted transcript of an interview of James Rybicki, former chief of staff to former FBI Director James Comey, that includes this excerpt. So we understand at some point in October 2016, there was, I guess, a desire by the White House to make some kind of statement about Russia's, and then the next page is omitted. The comment is made by an unidentified prosecutor from the U.S. Office of Special Counsel, or OSC, not to be confused with the Office of former Special Counsel Robert Mueller. The OSC is a permanent office that investigates Hatch Act violations, and Mr. Comey was under investigation for trying to influence the 2016 election. Goes on to say that Trump's friend Roger Stone's facing charges from Mueller gang that are based on the key question: who provided the DNC the Podesta emails to WikiLeaks? The corrupt FBI and Mueller team claims the emails were hacked, but neither entity inspected the DNC server, which was supposedly hacked. They have provided no proof of this. The DNC instead hired a firm called CrowdStrike with connections to Mueller and former Obama Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, who provided a redacted report to the FBI and Mueller stating these emails were hacked by Russia. Former NSA whistleblower Bill Binney claims he has evidence the DNC emails were not hacked but copied, most likely on a flash drive or something similar. Now this, when Ty Clevenger requested documents from the FBI related to any investigation into the death of Seth Rich, they replied that they never investigated Seth Rich and they don't even have any records on him. But when documents were requested from the NSA, they replied that they won't release their records regarding Seth Rich because it's a matter of national security. So the FBI never investigated the Seth Rich murder, even though the NSA said it was a case of national security. This too does not pass the smell test. Well, we know that the FBI, unfortunately, is not a very honest organization these days. Hopefully it can get cleaned up, but right now I would say the public confidence in the FBI is probably pretty low. Probably pretty low because, they've been decimated by the liars and the Democratic Party. I mean, it's like the Democratic Party seems to destroy everything they touch. Every single thing they seem to touch, they seem to destroy it. All right, Lindsey Graham says of Russian probe, I want people to see how off the rails things got. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham is adamant about revealing what went on behind the scenes of the Russia investigation and is looking forward to the American people learning about what happened. I believe the Horowitz report will be ugly and damning, he told Fox News' Maria Bartiromo on Sunday Morning Futures. The report has been anticipated for months, but it has faced delays in recent months. Every time you turn around, you find something new, Graham explained. Mr. Horowitz is doing a very in-depth dive into the FBI's use of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act to acquire a warrant to monitor former Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. I want you to classify as much as possible. I don't want the people to believe what I said. I want them to read for themselves. How bad it was, he declared. Graham claimed that the FBI relied on the dossier compiled by Christopher Steele when they applied the FISA warrant, despite Steele's being an unreliable informant who hated Donald Trump. I want it all out. I want the people to see how off the rails this investigation got. I want people to be held accountable, and I am patient, he said. I'm not in a hurry to do it. I want to do it right. He also expressed a desire to find out who was ultimately responsible for the Russia investigation, saying he is curious about the role the CIA played here. Well, we know that they must have been involved because they got their dirty little hands in so many things. And we do know from what we're finding that this goes all the way to the top. And when I say to the top, I mean Obama. I know that liberals and Democrats, those in the left, don't want to hear this because they think Obama is the greatest thing since sliced bread. However, really, really not the case. Really not the case at all. Okay, so let's switch gears for a few moments here. I want to address a topic. I don't have any articles I'm going to pull up. We're going to have a common sense conversation here about guns. Guns. What is a gun? Is a gun a living, breathing thing that acts on its own accord? No, a gun is an inanimate object. How does a gun work? A gun works because somebody has to load into it a bullet and then somebody has to pull the trigger. Without those two elements involved, nothing's going to happen. Pull the trigger, no bullet inside, doesn't do anything. Put a bullet in, don't pull the trigger, it doesn't just go off by itself. So it needs somebody to actually shoot the gun. We see this happening. Bad people are getting a hold of guns and they're doing bad things, and people are getting hurt. Good people are getting hurt. Innocent people are getting hurt. And then there's the outcry, gun control, and all the name calling that goes along with the gun control. Well, let's talk about what this means. When you say gun control, let's have a logical, common sense understanding. Do only good guys have guns? No. Bad guys have guns too. If there is a law that is put in place where you have to do a certain kind of background checks in order to get your gun, who do you think is more likely to comply with that? Good guys or bad guys? Good guys. Bad guys aren't interested in following the laws. That's why they're the bad guys. If a guy goes to jail and gets out of jail, I don't believe that man can own a gun when he comes out. So he's not going to go to the normal place you would buy a gun to get a gun. He's going to go someplace underground where there's other bad people who have gotten guns illegally. We also know of situations during the Obama administration when there was the Fast and Furious and all these guns were dropped off at places. So what you have is guns in bad people's hands. So what I'm understanding when people say they want things to be disarmed, are you talking about disarming everybody? The good guys and the bad guys? Because if that's the case, if all the guns are going to go away, I could understand that. I could certainly understand that. But to be short-sighted and say we're going to take the guns away from the good people, while at the same time expecting bad people are going to act accordingly and turn in their guns is absolutely ludicrous. We all know that's not going to happen. Even the people making the ludicrous comments know that that's not going to happen. So what are they suggesting? To disarm good people so bad people can run amok? If you notice, when these shootings are occurring, they're not occurring in places where people have guns. They're occurring in places where they know people don't have guns. That way they can go into these places, shoot them up, be the bad guys that they are, and get away with it because there isn't anyone there to protect the people. So while I understand the need to want to regulate guns and fix that problem so people aren't getting hurt, I think it's very short-sighted to say let's just take all the guns away, because what if the bad guys have the guns and the good guys disarm themselves? Then we're at the mercy of only the bad guys. I'm pretty certain, because I've studied history, that every time we've had a society anywhere across this world where they have taken the guns from the people, usually the next phase that happens after that is the people that took the guns then take control of those people. In many cases, those people are killed. In many cases, they're killed. So in order to protect oneself and protect one's family from the bad guys, at this point in time, good guys need to be able to have the means to protect themselves and their families. And if you don't understand that, then perhaps you need to think about it a little bit. Because if you really think bad guys are going to turn in their guns, I think that you're absolutely out of your mind. I don't think you're thinking clearly on that issue. I don't think you're thinking clearly on that issue at all. So let's see if we can have some common sense discussion about these things. Guns don't shoot people on their own accord. It's the bad people that have the guns. How are these bad people getting guns? That's what we need to find out, and that's what we need to correct. Are some of these people with guns, are they crazy? Are they insane? Some of them are. Are some of them perhaps programmed to go out and do that activity? Well, at the risk of sounding like somebody who's pushing a conspiracy theory idea? Absolutely. There's an MK Ultra program which has been going on for a while. We have plenty of stories where the feds go in and they find somebody who's agitated, who's on the verge of ready to go do something, and then they provide them the very tools to go out and create that crime. What we need to do is stop those kind of things happening, not take the guns away from the people that are good people who have bought their guns honestly, following the rules, not the people who, if the rules were changed, are going to go in and turn in their guns because they're good citizens and they don't want to be violating rules. No, bad people are not going to turn in their guns. And if you, as a liberal, as a conservative, as any human being, and you don't understand that, then maybe you just need to sit this one out because you're not able to have an adult conversation to understand that bad people do things differently than good people. Okay? Enough said on that topic. Moving on. We're going to talk about Islam for a little while. There's a video online here, a tweet from the Israel Advocacy Movement. It said, we've just exposed a number of people that Rashida Tlaib publicly thanks and is friends with who post explicit pro-terror content and calls to violence such as kill every Zionist. Well, it's a short video. It's only 9 minutes, 41 seconds. But it outlines number of the people she has been in contact with. People that she, has expressed her gratitude towards. And wouldn't you know it, they're terrorists. But not just terrorists, not just any terrorists, Muslim terrorists. Muslim terrorists. See, Muslims have been invading countries since 622 AD, pretending to be refugees seeking asylum. For 1,300 years, people have continued to take them in and then find out when it's too late that they made a mistake because they allowed a snake to enter into their home, to their community, whatever the case, only to be betrayed by the very one that they allowed in. And that's exactly what's going on this day and age. We have an invasion. It's happening here in America. These are Muslim terrorists. The squad, they're all terrorists, all of them. Every single one. We have Muslim terrorists that are connected within our governments. We have Muslim terrorists that are embedded in our country. How do I know? Because they have told us so. There's a document, 30 years, a 30-year plan to destroy America. That plan would have been up at the end of Hillary's first term. However, Hillary's not in, so my guess is there has to be some sort of effort out there to want to push to move forward, because something that they've worked on for a long time is coming to a head. There's been a lot of indoctrination at schools all about this problem. Kids have come out believing that they need to be sympathetic to these refugees. They're poor refugees, let them in. We need to be humanitarians. We need to be smart. We need to understand that they've been invading countries and conquering them. If you want to go out there and you want to be a dumbass and pretend that you don't know history and this hasn't happened, it's a free country. Do what you want. But don't try to poison other people with your stupid ideas if you don't understand what's really going on with history. Why would you do that? Stupid is as stupid does. There's that saying there. What I have here is a article says why Islam is a cult. A recent article on cult identified the 15 separate traits that the International Cultic Study Association identifies as common among cults. According to Dr. Michael D. Langone, PhD, concerted effort to influence and control lie at the core of cultic groups, programs, and relationships. Many members and supporters of cults are not fully aware of the extent to which the members have been manipulated, exploited, even abused. Some would say brainwashed. The list of social structure, social, psychological, and interpersonal behavior patterns commonly found in cultic environments may be helpful in assessing a particular group to help determine if in fact it is a cult. Langone states that there is a list, that this list is not a definitive checklist, but an analytical tool to determine if a specific group is a cult. So here's 15 traits. 1. The group displays excessive, zealous, and unquestioning commitment to its leader, and whether he is alive or dead, regards his belief system, ideology, and practices as truth and as law. This quite actually describes Islam, which is a totalitarian ideology with a facade of religion. Its leader, Muhammad, who is probably a myth, is proclaimed to be the perfect man whose example every Muslim should follow. Everything he supposedly did or expounded is considered perfect and cannot be challenged or changed upon the threat of death. This ideology, which Islam professes to decry, is exhibited in total abeyance and repeated by the expression, peace be upon him, every time his name is even mentioned. Sharia Islamic law is derived from the Quran and the actions and sayings of Muhammad. The supremacy of the concept of Muhammad is not that he is supposedly the last prophet, because there can be no more prophets. This was a 6th century in a very backwards part of the world, and the extreme arrogance of the claimed statement by Muhammad, every prophet was sent to his nation, but only I have been sent to all of mankind. Islam is the Arabic word meaning submission and is derived from a word meaning peace. Muslims are those who have submitted. For Westerners, the clearest expression of that submission is the bowing down with the head on the ground in daily prayers. Total submission to Allah or Muhammad results in fatalism, resulting in not taking responsibility for one's actions. Muslims regularly rationalize their actions or inactions, or even as in Allah, inshallah, which is Allah's will. The Quran is purported to be the exact word of Allah as transmitted to Muhammad by the angel Gabriel. Therefore, it is not open for discussion, analysis, or critique, even though it contains grammatical and historical errors. It is completely illogical that the surahs are arranged based on length, not chronological context. There are parts which no one understands. There are many contradictions. It was written in the poetic style of the desert, which is not fully translatable, and the Bedouins had little concern for chronology, such as the placing Moses and Jesus together in time. Islam is a totalitarian ideology covering every aspect of life. It is considered perfect and calls for its imposition on everyone in the world, whether they want it or not. 2. Cults, questioning, doubt, and dissent are discouraged or even punished. It is a crime to criticize, doubt, or disagree with Islam. This is blasphemy, and the sentence is death. It is a crime and a sin to leave Islam. A Muslim who rejects Islam is an apostate, and its punishment for apostasy is death. Under Sharia, it is forbidden for anyone to try to convert a Muslim to another religion. When Islam is defamed in any way, Muslims should violently defend it, even in a cartoon, but Muslims can and should defame Jews and Christians in Muslim newspapers, the internet, and television, and they should defame any infidel or enemy as they defame the U.S. today. 3. Mind-altering practices are used in excess and serve to suppress doubts about the group and its leaders. There are 5 pillars of Islam: profession of faith, prayer, fasting during Ramadan, religious tax, and Hajj, pilgrimage to Mecca. Jihad was almost a 6th pillar. Every Muslim must pray 5 times a day. The repetition helps dominate a Muslim's life, infusing his daily routine with Islam. It would be impossible to forget anything you deliberately do. So often, 5 times a day, every day, a Muslim must bow down and pray to Allah. The more effort a person expands for a cause, the more likely he is to believe and value it. This also makes believers out of people who become Muslims through coercion. 4. The leadership dictates sometimes a great deal how members should think, act, and feel. Every imaginable aspect of life is dictated by Islam, and how to go to the bathroom, to all aspects of personal hygiene, how to place the feet to pray properly, what can and cannot be done, including photography, television, drinking, eating pork, charging interest, gambling, playing string instruments, depicting an animate life, the clothes they wear, what women they are permitted to do, and what testimony is worth, what they can inherit, how they can get to paradise, and what they can be, and that they can be beaten or killed. The group is elitist, claiming a special exalted status for itself, its leaders, and its members. Muslims consider all non-Muslims and non-Muslim culture useless, and it is their goal to make the whole world Muslim. Everything before Islam is jahiliyyah, or ignorance, and of no value and should be destroyed, such as the Baimayan Buddhas. We've already noted how special Muhammad is, so that everything he said or did is revered. Muslims are permitted 4 wives, but Muhammad was permitted unlimited wives. And he was permitted to marry Zainab, the wife of his adopted son, both revelations from the Quran. Under Islam, non-Muslims pay a large tax. Once Muslims conquer a country and convert the government to Islamic law, non-Muslims have the choice: convert or die. However, Christians, Jews, and some Zoroastrians have the choice between becoming Muslim or becoming a dhimmi. Dhimmis are allowed to practice their non-Muslim religion if they pay a tax. If they convert to Islam, they no longer have to pay a tax, so there is a practical incentive to convert. This was a brilliant idea from the early days of Islam. They took tax money away from the non-Muslims and their competing systems and gave that to support Islam. The income for those taxes helped fund Islamic conquest. Third class hidden states. Okay. Several ideas within Sharia law extend this effect. For example, non-Muslims are not allowed to build any new houses of worship. They are not even allowed to repair already existing churches or synagogues. This puts the houses of worship of any competing religion or ideology in a state of permanent decline. Also, non-Islamic prayers cannot be spoken within earshot of a Muslim, again preventing Muslims from being infected by a competing religion. No public displays or any symbols of another faith may be shown either. All of this prevents the spread of any competing religion or ideology and makes them die out over time. That's why today there are so many Muslim countries. Most of the Muslim countries are now or at the near 100% Muslim. Almost all of the countries in the world are made up of many different religions. Also, non-Muslims are not allowed to own weapons of any kind. Let's see. So there's more to it. There's more to it. Those are some of the good examples. But the bottom line here is Islam is not a here. UKIP leader Gerard Batten links sexual grooming of girls to Islam. We also have UKIP MEP defends leaders Islam's a death cult comment following the Brunei gay sex death penalty law. So you can go and you can find plenty of examples and cases out there where people are paying attention to what Islam is about. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by what they're doing. It's a conquering attitude. It's an ideology that they think they're better than everybody else, that anything that happened before Muhammad was ignorance and anything afterwards is never going to happen because it starts and ends with Allah and Muhammad. Well, that ain't going to fly with me. That doesn't fly with Americans. We see the ugliness that comes out of Islam. The religion of peace and tolerance is simply a religion of thuggery and conquest, pedophilia, rape, murder. It is not a religion. It is a jihad against America. The sooner more Americans realize this, the better it's going to be. But there's a lot of clueless ones out there, and a lot of politicians have joined the cause of the Muslims, and therefore we have a problem because now we get mixed signals here in America. But you know what? Every American has the ability to think for themselves, so what you need to do is think for yourself. Think for yourself and understand. Don't be caught up in a state of being ignorant about a situation just because somebody's going to call you a name. You're Islamophobic. Who cares? Who cares what names people call? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. We have to learn to get over that, folks. We have to pay attention. Now, there is a true God, and it is not Allah. It is not Muhammad. Jesus Christ came here to spread the word, give us the message we need to have. And what Allah and Muhammad are about is contradicting all of that good stuff in order to subjugate the world. So let us pray to God. Holy God, thank you for the blessings you've given to us. Open our eyes that we may see these truths, that we may understand the evils in the world that we are facing, that we may stand strong against them, wearing the armor of protection against us, faith in our heart, knowing that the words and the examples of Jesus Christ are leading us forward into the glory of thy kingdom. Amen. Thanks for listening today, friends. I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information. Have a great day. God bless. Peace. I'm out of here.